I don't know if it was y'all said it too, but like growing up a pastor's kid, like I was me at like 12, you know? So I was always getting in trouble in church because I was like at 12 doing that, you know? Like just doing random stuff. My dad would always be like, that's not funny. That's not funny. And I was like, I'm never gonna do that to my kid. But here he is like, bye, like, okay, go, just leave, you know? You don't have to, like, you'll see them in like 30 minutes. Relax. That was good. Wow. That was good, man. Yeah, Jesus is good. Jesus is good. So we are in the final week of Proverbs. I pray that you have been reading still. Proverbs is good, man. It's thick. If you read it too quickly, you're kind of like, that doesn't make any sense. But then you like sit and read it, you know, and you're like, oh, that's good. That's tweetable, you know. But yeah, Proverbs is good. So this is our last week, like I said, in Proverbs. Next week, Skylar's going to be up here doing his thing, if I'm allowed to say. Am I allowed? Thank you. All right, I am allowed to say. Skylar will be up here doing his thing next week. So we're going to close out Proverbs. Yeah. So sometimes I wonder why Jesus allows me to be a pastor with the sermon titles that I come up with. It's like, oh, popular music, there's a song? Okay, yes, that will be the title. So yeah, this week is called It's Like That, y'all. And yes, I am referring to Mariah Carey's hit, It's Like That, produced by Jermaine Dupri. You know, it's a good song. I was so tempted to put it on my sermon prep playlist as I was doing this sermon, like in honor. I did not. Anyway, Proverbs 25, biblical Twitter. We're wrapping up Proverbs. And this week we are going to cover chapter 25 and a little bit of chapter 26. Because 25 is a bit random, we won't read all of it today. Yeah, we're not going to read all of it today, and we're going to use a little bit of tomorrow's chapter 26, for today's sermon. So, because chapter 25 is so random, we're going to look at it through the eyes of the last 3 weeks to get the why to all of it. So we're going to look at wisdom, righteousness, and our mouths again, and then we'll go to chapter 25. That makes sense? So we can look at it in the proper manner. So 1, wisdom. This was our first week. Wisdom is the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment in the manner and light of God. Now, when you look that up in the dictionary, that's not what you're going to find, because in the manner and light of God is what we call biblical wisdom. Wisdom by itself is the first part of that definition. So yes, you can be wise. Biblical wisdom takes it to another level, or as some would say, a whole nother level. So this is what God gives me to make sound decisions. This is what God gives me to take the best step. So things go from right and wrong to the best step. When I have wisdom from God, my experience, my knowledge, my good judgment, my experience, all of that stuff comes together and I take the best step. Righteousness is what keeps me out on the right side of the right and wrong. That makes sense? Where wisdom is the best step. So you may have answers that fit, check all that apply, or choose the best answer. Those questions are the worst. But that's how it is with God. God is like, choose the best answer. And you're like, all of these are good. But that's what wisdom does. Wisdom gives me the tool, or wisdom is the tool that helps me take the best step. Wisdom adds years to my life. It exalts me. It heals my flesh, and it does not let me stumble on my life journey. Because I'm making good, sound decisions, I don't stumble in this thing called life. And that's what wisdom is. Righteousness is what gets us to the point of receiving God's wisdom. So as I come to God and I ask for righteousness, and I'm like, Lord, I want to crave righteousness, and he gives me righteousness, I begin to maintain the attitude and the actions of God himself. I'm his child. That is what he wants from me. He wants us to be righteous people. It's a huge word, but when you actually break it down, it's very simple. Dad just wants his kids to be like him. And whether we like it or not, we are more like our parents than we would like to admit. I literally just said that about Trey. Like, even when we say, I'm not going to do that, I don't want to do that, it is ingrained in me that I am like my parents. I may be an updated, better version of my parents, but I am like my parents. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. And so God says the same thing. Yo, you're my kid. Be like me. And when you actually stop to think about what righteousness is, it's almost crazy that people deny that. Because people look and see Christianity and they go, oh, I don't want the rules. I got to stop doing things. But no, like, that's just the wrong way to look at it. Dad just wants you to love people. He wants you to treat people right. That's it. He just wants you to walk in love in every situation, in every moment, in every word, as much as possible. That's all he wants. And people are like, no, I can't do that. That's crazy, right? So that's what righteousness is. It's the manner or the attitude and actions of God that he has and expects us to maintain. That is righteousness. We know what it is. I talked about that. Cool. So our mouths. Last week we talked about the power of life and death and that it lies in the tongue. And we talked about life being actual living beings, like legitimate God-created animals. That's the type of life that we're talking about. Death being the intended purpose of disease. That's what death is. So power is what makes that happen. And so it says that our tongue has that power to either create life in other people or to insert disease that is intended for death. Those are the two options. That's it. When we start saying, but Jesus, what about this? What about that? No. Two options. Either I am building life or I am building death in people's lives. That includes my own life. That includes my kids. That includes my coworkers. That includes everybody that I meet when I'm at Walmart. And for some reason, that person just wants to drive all across the lines. It's like we have rules, guys. They're lines. You follow them. Now, that is a tapered version of where I started when my anger for people driving across the line started. But righteousness helps me say, come on, man, that's not cool, instead of really bad things and put disease into their life. He helps them build them up. Hey, next time, just follow the rules. And then Jesus takes that and helps them be a rule follower. If you are one of those people who just drives across, I just hope that Jesus helps you follow the rules. Specifically in the Walmart parking lot. But the power to literally build up. I have a hand in what happens in my life and in the lives of those around me. That's heavy stuff. Yes. All right, I said all that. So we're going to look at some verses in chapters 25 and 26 that give examples to why we need to choose God's side of these things. The wisdom, the righteousness, our words. Why we need to choose this. Because in chapters 25 and 26, he gives us all these things. It's like this. It's like this. So it's like that, y'all. All right. First, wisdom. Proverbs 25:19, it says, trusting a double crosser when you're in trouble is like biting down on an abscessed tooth. Yeah, like all the faces were like, ugh, ugh. Legitimately, when I stop using wisdom And trusting a double crosser when I'm in trouble is like biting down on an abscessed tooth. It only hurts you. That's crazy. I don't even know what that feels like, but I wouldn't want to try and see. Proverbs 26 verse 1. It says, we no more give honors to fools than pray for snow in summer or rain during harvest. We do not give honor to fools. We talked about the fool last week. We don't give that person honor. We don't put them in charge. We don't, like, as much as you would not pray for snow in the summer, you would not give honor to a fool. You don't put them in a position of authority. 26 verse 8 says, putting a fool in a place of honor is like setting a mud brick on a marble column. There's another version that says it's as good as tying a rock to a sling and trying to throw it. It's a waste. Like you put the rock in it and you like sling the rock, but tying it to the sling, it's a waste. You would not do that. 26 verse 10 says, hire a fool or a drunk and you shoot yourself in the foot. Hire a fool or a drunk and you shoot yourself in the foot. So all of those who are in some sort of leadership position, whether it is kids or your job or whatever, you're training somebody new at work, whatever it is, if you are working with the fool, it's wasted words and you only shoot yourself in the foot. That's crazy. But when I do use proper wisdom, chapter 25 verse 12 says, a wise friend's timely reprimand is like a gold ring slipped on your finger. A wise friend's timely reprimand is like a gold ring slipped on your finger. And we'll go into more depth on the positive verse later. So righteousness. It says the good person or a righteous person who gives in to a bad person is a muddied spring or a polluted well. A muddied spring or polluted well. The person who is righteous, who says, oh yeah, I'll go do that, knowing that they should not go do that, becomes a muddied spring. Nobody wants dirt water. I was going to say something that was not nice about other coffee shops, but just my words. Go drink black water. That's it. A muddy spring or polluted well. When I give way to the bad person, I become a muddied spring or polluted well. People cannot drink fresh water from me. A person without self-control or a person without righteousness is like a house with its doors and windows knocked out. No explanation there. Like a house with its doors and windows knocked out. And then 26 verse 11, it says, like a dog eats its own vomit, so fools recycle silliness. Like a dog who eats his own vomit, so fools recycle silliness. When I am not actually on the side of righteousness, I find myself in the recycling pattern over and over and over. And I know nobody here is like, well, you know, a dog going back to his vomit, it's not that gross. Like, yeah, it is. Like, that's a very stark explanation. But verse 20, or chapter 20, verse 5, it says, knowing what is right is like deep water in the heart. A wise person draws from the well within. 25:13 says, reliable friends who do what they say are like cool drinks in sweltering heat, refreshing. And then our words. Chapter 25, verse 14, like billowing clouds that bring no rain is the person who talks big but never produces. Like billowing clouds that bring no rain is the person who talks big but never produces. One says that boasts in the gift that he doesn't have. It's a waste of time. Again, you're just doing all the things for nothing. You have nothing. Verse 20 says, singing light songs to the heavy-hearted is like pouring salt in their wounds. Singing light songs to the heavy-hearted is like pouring salt in the wounds. Now, as I read this the first time, I was like, well, Isn't that what you would want to do? Like, hey, I'm trying to cheer you up. No. Empathy. I'm learning. Empathy. Being able to sit in a situation with someone, being able to meet them there, and then get to a point of being able to sing lighthearted songs. But if I just jump in, it's too much. It's like pouring salt in the wounds. Chapter 26, verses 21 through 23. A quarrelsome person in a dispute is like kerosene thrown on a fire. A quarrelsome person in a dispute is like kerosene thrown on a fire. Listening to gossip, for the person who says, I'm not the person who's, keeping the fight going. Listening to gossip is like eating cheap candy. Do you want junk like that in your belly? And then lastly, smooth talk from an evil heart is like glaze on cracked pottery. Smooth talk from an evil heart is like glaze on cracked pottery. But 25:11, the right word at the right time is like a custom-made piece of jewelry. Verse 25, like a cool drink of water when you're worn out and weary is a letter from a long-lost friend. So all of these verses point to when I choose righteousness, when I choose wisdom, and when I choose the words that give life, I become a person that is putting gold rings on people's fingers. I am refreshing to others like cold water in the summer when they're worn out and tired. I become the person making personal jewelry for people. No matter how big or small, it's custom. So like for me, I need the biggest custom piece of jewelry you got. For Jenny, she just needs custom studs. Me, I'm like, give me 18 custom chains and I'm wearing them all today, please. And for me, so I become this person that is giving people exactly what they need and what they're looking for. The crazy part about this is everybody without Jesus needs us to be these things. So we know that part. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I go to church. I'm supposed to love Jesus. He changes my life. I'm the light of the world. I'm the salt of the earth. Like, yeah, let's do it. I'm a good spring, fresh living water, bubbling brook. I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm ready. We know that part. The crazy thing is they don't know that they need it. People don't know that they need fresh water. People don't know that they're tired. People don't know that they're worn out. People don't know this. People don't know. And so again, like I said, this whole thing about righteousness where people are like, I don't want to do church. I don't want the rules. I don't want that. No, I'm not here to give you rules. I'm here to give you living water. I'm here to help you take the brake off your life. I'm here to lift the weight. Literally, look at this, a gold ring, a deep well, refreshing. How many situations in my life can I actually say, I walk into the room and I know for a fact that my presence is now refreshing to those that are here? I know that when I sit down and I talk to somebody and they're like, this is what's going on, that I am making a custom piece of jewelry for them with Jesus right now. Anybody remember Jacob the jeweler, mid-2000s? A lot of rappers. He made watches. He made watches. And everybody, if you listen to any 2000s rap, everybody's talking about Jacob the jeweler and these watches. And the thing about it was he made these personal watches that were ridiculous. But everybody was like, yo, this is my watch. He made this for me. Yes, it's big, it's gaudy, it's shiny. We know all the things, but it's not what it looks like. He made it for me personally. Personally, this is for me. And so as much as we want to receive that personal custom piece, I need to be giving custom pieces. That's what happens when I choose the words of life, when I choose righteousness, and when I choose wisdom. I become the person that is giving all of the things to all of the people. And further, it starts here. It starts right here. Because sometimes Rafer is not handing out the gold jewelry. Sometimes Rafer is not refreshing. And Jenny can attest to that. Sometimes I need to be refreshed. Sometimes I'm worn out and tired. And I go, if I'm worn out and tired, I know everybody else here gets worn out and tired. If I miss Jesus sometimes, I know that you miss Jesus sometimes. If I'm not praying as much as I should, I know that you may not be praying as much as you would like to. And so even more, we need this for each other. So if we all in here, Jesus is pouring out the candy at the door, and then we like, yo, here you go, here you go, here you go. It's just a food fight of Jesus candy flying across in the spiritual realm. It's like Lee said, I came in, there was something happening. It was back and forth. It was crazy. And so as we can do this with each other and we refresh each other and we're like, yo, here's your gold ring. What's the first thing you do? Even if you put on somebody else's ring, because you're like, that's a cool ring, let me put it on. What's the first thing you do? Look at that. Every engagement photo session has the guy as an accessory at some point. His back is to the camera. She's holding him and she's like, he's just there. He's like, yeah, I got to go to work after this. And she's like, it's my party. You see that? But that's the feeling that we're giving to people. And people don't know that they're ready for it. People don't know that they need it. And so that's what we're here to do. So the question then becomes, who's changing the game if we are not changing the game? Who's doing it if we're not doing it? And if we're waiting for each other to do it and none of us are doing it because, oh, well, Skylar, he's going to do it. Skylar's going to do it. But Skylar's like, no, Jed's going to do it. Yeah, Jed's going to do it. Yeah, he's got it. But we're all just standing here pointing. And it's like I said in the What About Me series, the world is dying. People are hurting. And unfortunately, we get so wrapped up in just our own selves and what isn't going right and why it's not going right. Just get back to Jesus. Because we have to be the ones that flip the script. I said last week, until people come to Jesus, we have to take Jesus to them. That's why the wisdom is important. That's why the righteousness is important. That's why our words are important. Because people are watching you more than you know. And the moment that you say, I love Jesus, they are watching you more than you know. Yesterday, we had our work fantasy football draft. So we're there, we're eating. And there's one guy at work who always says like 4th of July, he's like, Rafer, are you handing out fireworks to the kids? And I was like, no, who does that? You know, he's like, you're not a good pastor, you know? Like, this is just his thing. You got a Cadillac? I'm like, no, because black pastors have Cadillacs. I'm like, he's like, I'm gonna hook you up. You need a black pastor starter pack. Suit, one color, 3-piece, shoes, gaiters, same color, also a Cadillac. And I'm like, no, that's not, no. But if I don't know that I am in that situation to change the game, then I just let it ride. I just don't have the conversations. I'm just sitting there quiet because I love fantasy football, but you know, everybody may be saying stuff I may not say or laughing at things I may not laugh at. If I don't know I need to change the game, I become the doormat. But I go, what's crazy is when the commander shows up and he's like, hey, have you been to his church yet? No, I haven't been to his church. Has he invited you? No, he didn't invite me. I was like, yes, I have. Stop. Yes, I have. He goes, no, he's invited me. And he's like, I keep saying I need to go out there. I keep saying I need to meet you, like come to the church. I keep saying that. But if I don't make it, I need you to say the prayer at my change of command ceremony. Okay, Jesus, changing the game. He's like, some people show up and they do that prayer and it sucks. Like, it's just the worst. He's like, one time this guy's chaplain did a Star Wars reference prayer. And I didn't say this to him, but I was like, here's the thing. I'm bringing fire, dog. Like, I'm here to change the game. This isn't an opportunity for you to get a good prayer that's funny and you can laugh at and everybody can clap. No, this is my opportunity to pray fire down and people go, whoa, he's different. That was like a serious prayer, but like something changed. Whoa, what's happening here? That's what happens when I know I'm here to change the game. And again, it's not just outside the walls, it's here with each other. We have to continue to show the light to those that are around us continuously. There it is right there. We got to change the game. So today is short because, one, we're going to take communion. And I want you to spend the time with Jesus. But there's just not a lot to say. Like, it's not. And the more that I get into Bible study for me and to preach and teach, I'm learning that the message is pretty much the same all the time. It's a different angle on the same message, but it's the same message. We got to get to Jesus and let him change our lives. What does that look like? Pray. Pray, pray, pray. Well, I don't have the time. I don't like getting up. I don't care when you pray, pray. And the more that you start to pray, one day he's going to say, hey, just stay up and pray. Or get up in the morning and pray. Or on your lunch break, go sit in the car or in an office that is air conditioned in the summertime. But pray, build this relationship. And it doesn't have to look like, Father God, we come to you today. Like, who is we? Like, you in your car by yourself. Like, who is we? Literally, it could be, Lord, did you hear what she said to me? That's your daughter. This is actual real life conversation. Like, I'm going to work. Me and Jenny just got into it. And I'm like, Jesus, get your girl. Like, did you not hear her? Did you hear what she said? The level of disrespect, Jesus. I didn't even say nothing back. I'm driving. Like, I'm driving, hands on the wheel, but like in my mind, like, this is Jesus, get your daughter, okay? Like, no. Get your girl, Lord. Get your girl, Lord, because no. That counts as a prayer. And I don't want you to think that it doesn't count because that's where most of your prayers start right now. No, that counts as a prayer. And when you finally calm down and you're driving, he says, go home and make it right. Okay. And Jenny will tell you, it's the two kids, y'all hug until y'all fine. I love you. Y'all fine? Yeah. Y'all don't look fine. But he will respond and the relationship starts to build. And then maybe he says, let's take it to the next level. Cut out some actual time for me. No, you may not know how to open the Bible and break down scripture. But that's what we are here for. Amy takes full advantage of this at least once a week. Hey, I was reading this. Does this mean this? Yes or no, or Jesus said, or whatever it may be. Full advantage. And I go, if I am the person who's like, Amy, why are you texting me every week? She's reading the Bible. It starts there. Get the word in your life, into your spirit, into your mindset. And Amy is one who'll tell you, there was once a time, freaking out all the time, about all the things, all the time. But then a situation pops up, God is near to the brokenhearted. That was my first thought. What? And it gave me the comfort that I needed to move forward and to then help those that were around me. It's a day-by-day, baby step process. None of it just changes overnight. None of it just happens. I go, even Paul getting a name change, he was still blind for 3 days. We can say it's instantaneous. No, he was still blind for 3 days. There was still a transition period. And however much you put into the transition, God is going to give you back. It's not a thing of rules. It's not a thing of where you're not doing enough. But I go, every parent of any child will tell you it's a process to this. Yes, I would love for my son to clean up, but right now I can't have him vacuum the living room. The vacuum is bigger than him. It just doesn't work that way. So let's work on picking up the toys more than one at a time. It's a process. For whatever reason, I don't know why, he just picks up one at a time. I'm like, you got 2 hands. He's like, but I got my apple, Dad. I have to use my whole arm to hold my apple. Anyway, it's a process. Skylar, that meme you posted yesterday, it said God, what was it? God called you.
Oh, yeah, you're saying that he accounted for your stupidity?
Yes.
Even before you did?
When God called you to this, he already accounted for your stupidity. The way that hit me, I was like, okay, Jesus, let's go then. I don't need to question anything else. And put whatever word you want in there, disobedience or whatever. But he already knows you. He already knows that he just wants to have the relationship with you. And out of that relationship comes all the other things. In the simplest, out of that relationship comes all the things. So as I always say, chase righteousness, ask for wisdom, and be mindful of the words that you speak over yourself, over your life, and over the people that are around you. Jesus, obviously, is the ultimate game changer. And so, like I said, we're going to take communion. And so listen to the song first and deal with Jesus and yourself with him as we listen to the song. And then once you're done or when you're ready, go back and take communion. Amy Carter made our communion bread this morning. So yeah, we fancy. Like, I thought we were fancy with Hawaiian rolls, but like, we fancy now. Like, nah. Jesus' hand's been on this all morning. So, yeah, it's custom. You know what I'm saying? Amy just out here doing it. Dang, that's tight. That's tight. So yeah, listen to the song and let Jesus do what he needs to do with you. And then go take communion. You don't have to wait till the song is over, but I would like for you to listen to as much of it as you can. But if Jesus says go, go ahead. Lastly, before we close and we do go into the holy place, today is a lot of surrender. And I did not notice this until, well, you had those songs picked Sunday last week. Songs were picked Sunday of last week, and then I was like, oh yeah, communion. But this song is about surrender. And again, Jesus being the ultimate example of what surrender is, he is not asking us to do all the things that he did, but he is asking us to meet him in the heart of what he did. That makes sense? Like, I don't need you to get on a cross like I did that, but I do need you to like get in line with the heart of why I got on the cross. So, yeah, take your time with Jesus in your surrender to him. And it may be a little bit, it may be a lot, it may be all of it, take your time because it's process. Jesus knows this, like he's on the other side of it. So he's meeting you where you are. Just let him know where you are. So we're going to go into the holy place. Spend your time with Jesus. Take communion.